last election, he helped that situation because he utilized his voice to say, okay, well, this situation ain't right. And he made a change on a local level. In local politics, same thing with that. I'm not trying to veer off too, but it all ties together. We politically ignorant. You ask anybody in the city of Detroit, I can ask anybody, majority of people, if you name all the city council people, I'll throw you $100 right now. I wouldn't know that. I still have my 100.
For sure. Yeah, you're right.
You don't even know who control the money and resources in your hood.
Yeah, because you touched on a lot in there. They had a lot to do with a lot of my questions I was asking as far as, how far do it, I see you got New Air, Chicago, you feel me? And, in other places. But I seen the video in Chicago and, like you say, the police, man, they just don't respect it. You feel me? Mm-hmm. So what happened with that situation to where they really running around trying to arrest black people for sticking up for the community, cleaning up the community, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, that was just something that we had to deal with. That was carefully orchestrated. Like I said, man, us doing the work that we do, and it's not what you do. I hear a lot of people say, yeah, we do kind of what y'all do. Yeah. Ain't on the planet do that we do.
No.
I'm going to be very clear with that because the way that we move and the structure that we move and the way that we stick to our organization, that day in Chicago. So to understand the Chicago situation, you got to understand the climate of how we were moving in Detroit and the way that other people was looking at that and being influenced by that. Chicago is our first chapter that we opened up. And it's a whole backstory behind that. But so us being in Chicago, we were over in the Inglewood area. Anybody who know anything about Chicago, yeah. So a pretty rough, pretty rough neighborhood. But the police always feel a level of dominance over there in that community, right? So you got all these white police officers. They always riding around. They always showing that. Slave catcher, military, that's the type of vibes that Chicago give off. Yeah, and sure. For us, we was out there with our program. So it was our hood to hood program. We go through the community, we clean up, we pass out resources, we was doing our thing, but we was super deep. So, they already had in their mind, they was following us all day. So they already had in their mind that they were going to try to pull something on us. And try to put something on us. So, that was a whole play from the start. So they followed us, they trailed us. And when we got super deep, they called out like half the force antagonizing us. This was earlier in my years of organizing. So, I kind of look back at stuff and I'm my biggest critic. Right. So I see like now understanding some of the tactics and some of the things that they do and have historically done. And they just went in. You feel me? It was one of those things, man. It was a big old fallout out there. And our thing was we had all of these kids and all of these babies, and a lot of people talk about when you are dealing with the police and in a hostile situation like that, you could go hella hard and we had a lot of brothers out there. We could go hella in and they start shooting. Right. And then a kid gets shot and killed. That's on me. I'm done.